crew? Welcome everybody. Chris Thorndike, Kyle Kraft. Today we have, honestly, a great conversation. And the problem that we're going to be talking about today is how do we duplicate our best clients so that we can continue to fill our gyms with long-term paying members that love us, that support us, that truly want to be there. And it's one of the hardest questions, Kyle, to really solve because it's rather complex.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to attempt to tackle that and not only do that, but walk you through what that relationship looks like from the beginning. Because if we're truly looking to solve this particular problem out there, what we have to start thinking about is where do our best clients begin this relationship with us? Where in our process of developing them and of training them, what can I start improving today? What can I start changing today when I get a brand new client so that they look like my best clients? So before we dive into all that, guys, pull up your seat, get comfy. We're gonna lean into this one. And for those of you guys that unfortunately can't make the whole call, don't forget Perpetual Profit is our podcast, and you guys can listen in on that at a later date. I always like to pull up videos, while I'm cooking breakfast and just listen to the audio as well. So you got options. Don't think that you have to sit, directly in front of this video to consume everything. So I want to make sure you guys are, capturing all of it in any way that is possible. So Kyle, we're going to lean into this a little bit. You've been a long-term gym, owner for over 10 years now. And I got to ask, and I want to put it out there, what do you love about your best clients? Like, what makes them your best?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Chris, and excited to chat about this one as well, because I think, I've had the humbled opportunity to speak with a lot of gym owners over the last few months here, especially, and even in the last month, as we're getting closer and moving into 2020, a lot of times on a lot of these calls, we're kind of taking a look back at the year and seeing really, because at the end of the day, what we're talking about is, are we making the impact that we set out to make in our clients' lives? Are we really changing people for the better? Because at the core of it, that's what we do. And so as we kind of look back and we start to move towards 2020, of course, we want to set ourselves up in a way that we improve things. And, we dive into that a lot. It's like, hey, I ask a lot of gym owners and they say the same things that I can resonate with in terms of, think of your best members right now. I'm sure you have 2 or 3 people on the top of your mind that, they show up early. They stay late, right? They're building community. They listen to everything you tell them to do. They get, I went into the gym yesterday and I had a Christmas card on my desk, right? Those types of members, They're giving you the family photos. They're sharing the personal wins outside of the gym with you. Like, hey, I remember one of our longevity clients, one of those baby boomers had messaged us even last month, and they slipped on ice and they caught themselves, right? They didn't fall. So they're messaging those things. And those are people that are there every week. And they're, the types of people that they're bringing friends. They're just raving about you guys. They're giving you the 5-star reviews on Google. They cannot stop checking in on Facebook, right? Sharing. And that all their friends are just like throwing up over it, right? But you love it. And so those are the people that I know we have in our community that I think of when you say like those perfect clients. And I've talked with a lot of gym owners, and the thing that is really interesting is, like, when we get down to it, we always kind of figure out, or we kind of get to the point where it's like, well, how do we get more of them, right? Because I think the one thing we can all agree on is, man, how fun would that be to walk into a gym filled with just those people, right? Now, that's not taking away from people that maybe aren't perfectly aligned with us, to each their own. But I think what we're really getting at the core is, when you have people who are that way, who are showing up with energy, who bring you energy, you can wake up, you can do the happy dance for living your dream, right? You go to the gym, and when they're there and they listen to what you say and they're doing the work and they're all in, meaning they're in it at home as well, the results come to them much, much faster, and it feels much, much better for you in terms of that impact you're making. And so that's really, I think, what we're talking about today. And what that really means is, if you can figure out a way to get these people, right, and you can have more of them in your community, well, you're gonna have that much more sustainability, because I can tell you those people aren't canceling. Those people aren't leaving after 1 or 2 months of just trying it out. Those are people that have drank the Kool-Aid, and they're moving with you through heck and high water, and whatever happens over 2020, they're going to be there at the end of that as well.
Yeah.
So that's really who I would say the ideal clients are that I know, and especially with other owners I've spoken with.
Yeah, and I'll add to it as well as like I love the feeling as a coach that the moment I learn someone has transformed their life, that they sing our praises, they respect you, they give you a lot of value for your craft and your skill, and they legitimately feel like they could not have gotten to where they are now without your help. And that
Yeah.
fires us up as coaches. And if we're not getting a lot of that, you know, our best clients give us that feeling. So when you talk about duplicating that, or how do I find more of those people, it really is what I think many of us got into this industry for, is we wanted to transform people's lives. And then from a business side, the impact is that your cash flow becomes more consistent, more repeatable. You've got, a look ahead of all your bills due, and they start to actually cover all your expenses. Well, the flip side of that, though, Kyle, and talking to a lot of these members, or a lot of our prospects that are out here interested in what we do, we're learning a lot about what's going on, and that's not always the case for everyone out there. They're struggling to pay bills. They're can't find enough of these people that they love to work with. There's only a few of them. And what ends up happening is, we were just talking about this, like the stress level's so high, because not only are you not getting that validation, not feeling that self-worth as a coach, but you're scrambling for money every month. You got to cover this gap between expenses and where your actual EFT or auto pay is. It's not covering it. So what do you have to do? You got to go out and you got to get signups. You got to make sales. And the reason I say it's sales, because that's a negative thing. That's a bad thing. We don't want to make sales. We want to make enrollments. We want more long-term memberships. But what happens is when you're in that state, you'll take anybody. You'll take everyone.
That's so critical.
That is the piece that we're just talking on, where in many cases, that is the root of the problem. If you don't understand what we're about to tell you and share with you guys, this is a repeatable problem that you're just continuing to create each and every single month for yourself if you don't latch into what we're about to share with you.
Yeah.
And hands down, like a lot of people are just freaking exhausted. Like this rat race of covering the difference and, making up anything else that's due to cover the bills, and hopefully there's enough left over for a paycheck. It gets exhausting when you realize that you're not making enough off your ideal clients, your dream members. They're not covering all the bills.
Yeah.
And you start to question whether you want to continue to do this. And you know better than anybody. You're out there talking to a lot of these guys that want to change, that want, guidance and help. So if those are the things that you guys are thinking about right now, lean into this. All right. Kyle, I know you wanted to mention, have me go a little bit into client acquisition cost and talk through that a little bit. I think that's a good place to start for these guys, and really understanding the value from a number standpoint, guys, of what you have on the line here when it comes to acquiring someone that's not a good fit, for enrolling someone that is not your best client. Okay. So we're starting with the end in mind. All right. I always love to do that, is like we had to work through, guys, who are the people we love to work with? What are their characteristics? What are their traits? Keep that close to you. That means something. All right. And a lot of you guys have not gone back in time to truly understand where that person started. Okay. They did not start that way. You built them. You transformed their life. Remember, all that appreciation and gratefulness, that should put your mindset in a place where you remember what it was like for them when they started. And you get to really sit with that and say, you know what, you're right. We had a lot of things that we had to overcome and challenges. Like, it's not easy. Like, we put a lot of work in these people. So I want to dive briefly into the client acquisition, and then we'll get into, some of the things that you guys need to start thinking about in terms of solving this stuff. So the client acquisition cost is really the number that matters most. Okay. And the concept is that, how much time, how much money, how much energy does it take to enroll a client. And what's happening right now is a lot of you guys out there are finding that you're acquiring clients at a negative or a break even amount. And what happens is if you don't charge enough up front, not only are you not creating enough to go out and market and promote and find more people, but it's taking you 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks to recuperate and actually start making money off that client. And the analogy I gave my crew in our momentum program the other day, it's like you're trying to keep up with Netflix. And if you can follow this, guys, this will make a lot of sense. Where Netflix gives everybody 4 weeks free, okay, and they're able to do that because it's a software, right? It's a very scalable piece of technology. So the 10, 12 bucks that it cost, they're saying, hey, just try it out. If you love it, stay with us. If not, no bad feelings. So what's happening is first month, they take a loss. They lose the 12 bucks. Second month, they break even. Third month, they're making money. And they can do that because of the scale and the volume. And many of you guys are doing that same thing, but you're doing it with humans. And you can't do that. You're putting in the physical labor. You're feeling that draining feeling because you are floating them. Okay. And what we're finding is the most successful gyms out there are not floating. They're putting a dollar sign on their time, their program, and they're getting massive results for their clients, and they're happy to pay. Okay. So if you're stuck in that race that you cannot win, you need to listen up here. So before I go any further, Kyle, I know one of the things that we had really talked about is, this doubt and insecurity part when you're not feeling like you got momentum in your company. It can cripple you. And I want to speak to that for a little bit for these guys out there that are in that place, because I think it's important to recognize that people are transforming, people are changing as business owners in our program. And is there anything that you can think of that would help kind of get them into a mindset of understanding of what has to change to get out of this mindset of feeling stuck and in a rut? What's the first step to really thinking about changing your business and looking at this from a new light? Because I've been there, and it's tough to get out of this headspace if you feel like every new person's going to leave you, right? Let's kind of talk to that piece, because no one dives into the mindset piece, and I think it's one of the most critical things as a business.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, you hit it on the head earlier. You said you're in this state, right, where everyone's trying to make sales, everyone's trying to make cash, everyone's trying to get leads. And it's one of those things where a lot of people are confusing the problem with the solution. So the problem is, and listen, guys, we're gym owners as well. I've been mopping the floor at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, and I've gotten those cancellation emails from members. I've gotten those. I've gotten more than I want to have gotten. And we all know what it feels like. And I've talked with several gym owners in the last week even who right now, for every client they sign up in their program, they're losing 1, 2, or maybe even 3 or 4. And so it's like you start to have that happen once. Okay, it happens once. Okay, now it's happened twice. Well, you've been doing this for how long? And as you look back again over 2019, if that's happened every single month, it's kind of like you're just going 12 rounds of a boxing match. You're just getting hammered, and you're not able to get your gloves up. And so you get in this place, you're kind of dazed, you're confused, you're doing anything you can to get your gloves up, which in the business world, the equivalent is making a sale, right? It's making some cash. It's getting influx of new money any way you can. And when you shift your focus to making money any way you can, you have now commoditized your product. You have now become like everybody else. Because I got to be honest with you, Chris, most gym owners right now are way too busy thinking about money, or they're way too busy about, being an Instagram celebrity and making all their posts look amazing, or they're way too busy about just trying to be a big shot. Oh, I own a business. Oh, I'm Mr. Somebody, right? And when you start focusing on yourself and you forget the real reason for your business, the only reason you exist in the first place is to help people get a specific result to their specific problem, period. And as soon as you move away from that and you start focusing on yourself, that's when people start suffering. And that's when you start living in this place of, I'm going to do anything it takes. And you know how you create distrust is by saying and doing anything to make a dollar. And so what you can do is almost overnight, if you start acting this way, you can start to destroy your gym's reputation. You can destroy the credibility of your program and the results. Even if you have great results, people won't believe that those results are congruent with their values. So they're going to be repelled by it. And so the number one place, if you want to get massive momentum, if you want to start moving forward in a rapid way, completely shifting things, you cannot confuse the problem, which is lack of cash flow, with the solution. And so the solution is very simple. You have to focus and put your clients first in everything you do. I mean, we know this from, I read 12 years ago, Greg Glassman's, he put it very simple, right? Chase excellence and the money follows. Well, I'd make one tweak to that because excellence is way up here. But the thing that's going to actually make you hyper successful is shooting for outstanding, right? Standing out in the marketplace, being someone who not only delivers incredible results, but does it in a way that fulfills their clients' emotional needs. And when you are in this place of worry, in this state of fear, in this state of panic mode, that's exactly what you're putting out there, right? I mean, we all know that, right? If we are a certain way inside, that's exactly what's going to come out on the outside. And so you have to get back. Once you've realized where you're at, the first thing you have to do to gain massive momentum is you have to shift that state. And the best way to do it, just focus on serving your clients. Hey, I'm here to help them, right? And then get into the things you're passionate about, right? Shift back to what, when I first started, Chris, I don't know about you, but I was psyched out of my mind that I would have someone come pay me $5 an hour and I'd be teaching them with a broomstick out by the dumpsters how to deadlift. And I was like so fired up about that, right? That's where you need to get back to. That's the place. And I see that smile because you did the same kind of stuff. And I think all of us owners that have those, those amazing clients that have been with us for years and years and years, they are still with us because they knew us then. They knew when we were fired up and passionate about the things that we really cared about. And we then transferred that emotion to them. And now they're the type of people that, hey, no matter what happens, they will always retain and resonate with that feeling. And so they're going to keep showing up. They're going to keep paying whatever it is, because it is a priceless thing to have that feeling of people who care enough about you and can deliver a great result on top of it. And when you have those things and you're doing it in a way that's systematic, well, now you can have clients that stay with you forever and ever and ever. The problem, again, is most people are in this place of fear and panic. And so they're getting people in that place of fear and panic. They're focusing on making a sale, not serving the client. And you end up with people who, even if they get the result, are not bought into your beliefs or your values, right? And they don't feel like the gym has integrity, because if you are willing to say or do anything to make money, then they can inherently never trust you. So I know I put a lot in there, but I really think that the very few steps that it is number one, you have to decide to get out of the place you are of fear and panic, and you have to move towards where you're passionate about in that first place, which is, why'd you get into this? And then focus on the client, right? And then, of course, once you're there, now we can start looking at the process that you're about to unveil in terms of let's now take that panic and fear drama out of the equation, and let's bring the data, right? Let's look at that data, and now we can start getting into intelligent action.
So love how you phrase that. So this is like, should electrify a lot of you guys. It's like, I can go back to my roots, and many of you guys out there have solved issues in your business where you grew to a certain amount, your members who loved you, referred, and you're able to get, part-time coaches, and you've got this, this success flowing. But what happens with, every problem that gets solved, you get a new set of problems. And some of you guys are just trapped with a new set of problems. And what I want to go through with you guys is like, what is the first step you can take to start recognizing these dream members, these best clients in your business? And Kyle, you said it best when we were offline here is, well, you start before they were members. You start really working on the mindset in the core values and the qualities of what your best clients do, what it looks like to become these best clients. Because like we said before, when we first started this call, guys, they're the ones that show up. They're the ones that pay attention to things that are happening with their nutrition, with their sleep. They participate in and learn. That's who you're looking for in the very beginning, and saying, in many ways, this is a way to qualify people. Will you show up and work hard? Are you coachable? Are you friendly? Are you willing to, help others and, show up and be present? Are you willing to, do these things that I'm asking you and commit to my process? And if you don't take the time to check people, challenge them in the beginning, how will you really know if they are in alignment with what is needed to get to that place of becoming that ideal client? And Kyle, I see you shaking your head because I know this is something that's really important where most people don't think about starting from the beginning. They
Yeah.
think they can go out and find more of the best clients like they just exist. You literally have to build them, guys. Think about that process. That gratefulness piece is your best client saying, Kyle mentioned the postcard on his desk. That is that person reflecting on how far they've come because Kyle helped build that new person, that new identity, that new lifestyle using his coaching in his process. And you guys have to start taking some strength in that and saying, I can help anyone through my doors. If they do this, this, and this, I can always work with them. But in many ways, I think the money and the stress and the anxiety of keeping the business side is costing a lot of people to forget that and to force it. And I know that there's gyms out there that have tons of leads in their list. When's the last time they picked up the phone and just called them and did exactly what we're talking about? I think there's a lot of people out there that want a coach. They need the help. They're stuck. But because we're just sitting back and waiting, overwhelmed, you guys need to get back in the place of being a coach. And sometimes that means you're coaching people through your enrollment process, through your education of how things work here. You're still a coach. Don't get lost in the fact that you're doing lead follow-up or sales. Like permission to be a coach to people, and then take that and understand that that is the path to making more money, growing your gym memberships, and then most importantly, like we're talking about today, creating long-lasting members. You're not going to force someone into a long-term relationship with you if it's not started with the integrity and the confidence that you're the right person for them. I mean, this is like a mini marriage, right? Like in many cases, for those of you guys out there, you know what it's like to have 5-10 year members, or many of you are aspiring to have that. You can't force that. You can't trick someone into that. You can't.
I think the problem as well, Chris, if I may, is, going back to getting into that place of passion, what got you fired up in the first place, we were talking earlier about what a strategy is, right? And the strategy is just a way of organizing your resources so you can get a result the same way every time. Yeah. So is there a strategy, right, for you guys listening out there, type in the box, is there a strategy, yes or no, to putting more weight on your back squat, right? Is there a strategy to getting more pull-ups? Is there a strategy to getting double unders? Yes to all those things, right? And once you know that strategy, the beautiful part is you can teach yourself and you can teach anyone else, right? That's what coaching is, right? So think about it like this. You guys have a strategy, because everyone who started a gym, that you all have those original clients, those OGs, those people that do love you and they're with you. They're your ride or die, right? The problem is you don't know what your strategy is. Yeah. Right? And it's like, without knowing exactly what that strategy is, you can't replicate it, you can't systemize it. And so what happens is now, like we've talked about, you're getting all these clients who you're focusing on selling them, right? You're focusing on making money, okay? So here's a way to think about it. Think about all the amazing things that you're doing for your clients, right? How their lives are improved today, tomorrow, and for years into the future because they've met you, they've done your program, they've gotten these results. So when you think about it, if someone isn't going to work with you, right, they're basically saying yes to killing their health, right? They're saying yes to killing their fitness. It's the truth. And so when you go into a sales or an enrollment meeting or conversation, you can really think about it as them being on a ledge, right? What kind of energy and passion would you show up with someone who's on a ledge about to step off, right, and kill their health and fitness, right? Would you show up focusing on, oh, I got to do this because I just need to get it done quick, right? I want them in the program. I want to get with the program person, right? Would you show up with this posture of like, or this arrogance, right? No, you would show up and you would try to meet them where they're at, and you would empathize with them, you would sympathize with them, you would make them understand that you care about them first, and then you would go ahead and walk them through as much passion as you could about how vital it is that they get into this thing and step off the ledge, right? And move back towards safety, and you are there to hold their hand through that process. Because once they understand that level of feeling, it's a no-brainer. They absolutely want to, because nobody else is doing that. But if you're coming from this fear, panic-stricken mode, you're just like everybody else.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize that you have to have a process, guys. Like, your process is just not a class, okay? And this next important piece of building long-term members and really solving this problem is about identifying who's off track. And what I mean by that is you literally have to show up for those people that hired you to do this job, like Kyle's saying. And if people do not show up, that's our job to hold them accountable. If they're struggling and have questions or needs, it's our job to create the environment or the opportunity to share what that is. Because if you do not, this is what happens. They stop showing up. They miss, a workout 1 week, 2 the next, 3, a full week goes by. And then I hear it. You guys are telling us, we've experienced it. Then all of a sudden that member is nowhere to be found. Text message, phone call, nothing. It's too late. And you're reacting to a problem that they no longer trust. You're there for them. Because everything you promised them in the beginning wasn't followed through on. And that's because that proven process for providing your service isn't dialed in. The best gyms right now are so dialed in on this side of it. The off-the-floor coaching component, they're nailing it. They're keeping people in their programs because they're responsive. Okay, they're able to be there for people when they need them, not wait 2-3 weeks and then give them a call because the payment didn't go through. That's not how we run group coaching programs, guys. And some of you have fallen into that trap because of whether it's advice or burnout or frustration, or you got focused on money, like Kyle's saying. You got to get back to your roots. And that's where you start solving this cash flow problem. When you stop focusing on the money and you start focusing on the end result and taking care of your members, that's how you do it. And I know a lot of you guys would be energized to get back to that state. Kyle, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, the last thing I would add to that then is the beautiful part about this, you guys, is when you are showing up in that place of passion and moving your company with momentum quickly, that conversation, when it becomes about serving, the beautiful part is you no longer have to sugarcoat anything because it's a totally honest and transparent conversation. Now, this is really important, and it's critical to be transparent about that work that it's going to take, right? Because you're asking people, this isn't like Netflix in the way that people actually have to expend energy, right? They actually have to get in their car, drive to your gym, do the work, even be in the program when they're not at the gym, right? They have to do the food stuff at home. It's this whole thing. And so it's critical that before there's an exchange of money, that you're totally honest and transparent. And that if they do the work, that they're going to get the outcome that you promised them. But the work conversation cannot be left unsaid. You need to let people know up front before you take their money that this process requires work. Now, and this is where most people will say or do anything to get them in the door. Oh, we'll make it really easy. Oh, you just have to do this. You just have to do this. If you're doing that in your consults right now, stop doing that, okay? Because all of the things that you're asking people to do are actually challenging. They are going to take work. They are going to force people to have to show up and persevere through adversity. We all know that. That's the whole beautiful part of what we do. Struggle, progress. Without that conversation that there will be struggle, there actually can't be progress. And if they don't see progress, they won't stay with you. So instead of trying to hide all that and sugarcoat it and say how anybody can do this, it's super easy, blah, 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 you have to talk about the fact that it's actually going to be difficult. Talk about it up front. Literally tell them, this is going to be hard. It takes work. You're going to have to work your butt off. But guess what? I'm going to hold your hand every step of the way and give you the exact steps you need in the order you need it so you don't waste any of your time. And this is so critical because the right clients, your ideal clients, the people who will pay you a premium, will be attracted to that. They will understand that. They will align with you, right? And they will want to pay you and get that result. And now they will value your knowledge and your time. And people who are just trying to BS you, who are trying to just put a band-aid on their problem, who aren't willing to show up and do the work, those are going to be the worst clients anyways, right? And so if you are repelling them just by telling them it's going to take hard work, you just save yourself and your team and your company such a headache, because you're going to go through this whole process of putting them through the program, trying to follow up with them, text them, support them, and at the end of it, they're just going to leave anyways. And so the cost of enrolling that wrong client is huge. So why don't you just do what's right up front and tell them the truth? It's going to take work, but we've made everything as easy as we can, and we will support you through the whole process. And when you do that, now you can just focus on working with clients who are going to listen, who are going to act, and they're going to get results. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like a pretty cool business to have.
Yep. And you know, at the end of the day, we have to fulfill on the promise, right? That means that you got to get your process dialed in. You got to get that opportunity where you can find who's off track and actually bring them on. And then the last thing, and we'll close it up, is it's like we have to celebrate their wins. We have to ensure that you guys are there to remind them of the success. A lot of people can't see it. So when you think about it, if we don't create these moments where there is a celebration, where there is an opportunity to see how far they've come, in many cases, if they're just enrolling into a workout and nothing else, concludes that, hey, look how far you've come. You know, that goal we set in the beginning, you're on track. Or, you know, that goal that we set in the beginning, you freaking crushed it. Where do you want to go next? So there's a piece of this where do you want to go next? If that never gets asked, there never creates that moment. One, you didn't deliver on the end result that Kyle's talking about. Or two, you did, and the member doesn't know. So asking for something more, asking for a longer term relationship, or that client even expecting to continue on with you is lost. So guys, we have to fulfill something. And fulfilling a class is not enough. It's got to, like going back to what Kyle said, we have to deliver an end result. What do the clients want? Yeah, some of them want fat loss. Some of them want to live a healthier lifestyle. Some of them want to be consistent and maintain what you've helped them build. Mm-hmm. But they want to see that. They want to feel that. And that's why we're in the relationship business.
Yep.
So I want to close it out, Kyle. And I love this call today. So thank you for being on. We gave a lot of great tips. We gave a lot of insight into likely how many of you are feeling. Now it comes a time where if you want help and you want your hand held through this process, done with you, that's what we do best. You know, it's not enough always just to give you the advice and you guys take it and run with it and understand how to, break it down, personalize it, and then actually execute on it. That's why we're here. So Kyle, the next step obviously is to hop on a breakthrough call with you and really learn the strategy, walk them through a little bit on what they'd be talking with you about and what that means.
Yeah, well, look, if you're online right now and you're listening to this and you've come with us this far, then obviously something is resonating with you. And if that's the case, guys, the best thing you can do is just get on a call with us and really understand for your company and for where you're at right now, how you can actually get that momentum started immediately. And so what we do is we hop on a 45-minute call with you, and it's just an honest conversation, right? It's really just taking a quick dive into your company. Let's take a look at, where you're at today, you personally, your team, your financials. Then let's get really crystal clear on where you want to go, right? And then we can teach you how to close the gap. And what we do is we're going to get you crystal clear on who is that perfect client for you. What is it that, who's out in that marketplace right now that you can solve their problems and they're going to be willing to pay a premium price. Number two, then, what is that premium price for your company? What can you charge? Really today, can it be a premium price, $500,000 plus dollars? And can you start doing it tomorrow by tweaking your messaging? So we'll tell you how to do all that on the call. We'll reveal that to you. And, whatever happens at the end of the call, whether you decide, you want our help or not, you can take those things forward. You can get massive action in your company and start getting momentum in the right direction, especially right now, this time of year. People that don't take action today are going to miss out on the biggest cash generating opportunity of 2020, which is obviously when January 1 hits. And I would say even right now, people are starting to look. So if you're not taking action, if you're not being honest with yourself, looking back at 2019 saying, hey, something has to change, I have to make a change and I can do it, and it's got to start with a new piece of action, then make that decision today. Go to factoryforge.com/call, book your call right now, make the decision that's going to make 2020 amazing for you, for your family, for your lifestyle, and for your community, so you can continue to make an impact and really carve out that legacy as you move forward, guys. All right, so factoryforge.com/call with a couple options a day. So just go ahead and book right now.
Cool. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, guys.